Hey everyone, so I'm here to do my book review on Ignite Me, the last book in the Shatter Me trilogy. I read this when I did my reviews for the other two books. I just never filmed a review for this one. So I'm gonna do that right now. Before I start talking about the book, can we just talk about these little earrings? Do you see them? They're books. They're in the shape of books. They were a birthday present from one of my friends and she gave them to me. They were in a pack of all these other ones. Hold on, I will get the rest. So these earrings came in a pack of a whole bunch of other ones, and I love this so much. I don't know if you can see it, but there are glasses. Those things right there, they say nerd. I don't know if you can see that. It says nerd. There's an actual word that says nerd. Little diamonds and a pi symbol for pi. I don't really like math, like at all, but still. So yeah, these were a part of that little earring set. So thank you to my friend, because I love these and I'm gonna wear them all the time. I should just wear these every single time I do a book review, because that's just fitting. I'm also realizing that I've been wearing a lot of black t-shirts in my videos, and then I also realized that I have like 4 plain black t-shirts, so that is why. Okay, anyways, moving on to the actual book review. I have a few things tabbed here for discussion purposes. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10 stars, 100 out of 100 stars. Why do we do 5 out of 5 stars? Why can't we do like 10 or 20? Who came up with 5? Anyways, this was my favorite book out of the trilogy. It's my favorite cover. It was my favorite story, or part of the story. I just realized that there's a blurb on the back of this book by Ransom Rigg. He's saying, a thrilling, high-stakes saga of self-discovery and forbidden love. The Shatter Me series is a must-read for fans of dystopian young adult literature, or any literature. Aww. Props to the wifey. That's cute. Okay, so moving on to my little tabby tabs here. The first one I have is on page 18, and I wrote, it's been a cover since the very beginning, and I think I'm talking about when Warner starts telling Juliet about how he actually hates his father and wants him dead, and how it's all been a lie, basically. Okay, before I start talking about this book, let me just talk about this one real quick. I finished Ignite Me, and then I read this one afterwards, and after I did that, I realized that I wish I had read this before I read Ignite Me, and even Unravel Me. I don't know what order all of these books and these short stories were published, but I loved the part about Warner. I didn't really care so much about the part about Adam, because it was just like a retelling of parts that I've already read, and I honestly did not care. But I really liked the first part with Warner, and it seriously just dove into like what he thought about everything, what he thought about Juliet and his father, the whole situation, and then you like fall in love with Warner even more during Destroy Me. Okay, so that was my first tab on page 18. The second one I have is on 31. It's talking about when Warner made Juliet go under that simulation, and I just wrote a note that says, divergent much. I think I'm funny. And yeah, just when he's telling her about the whole simulation and how it wasn't real, and so she's like, oh, it wasn't real, it wasn't real. Like, no, it wasn't real, Juliet. He wasn't actually going to hurt you. And I just thought that was very similar to Divergent. The next tab I have is on page 63, and I wrote, he's like Jasper and Edward all wrapped in one. I think I'm talking about Warner here. Oh yeah, because it's when Warner or Juliet is saying that Warner is able to sense emotions, that he can always tell what I'm feeling, and that just totally reminded me of Jasper in Twilight, because he could do that too. Or I don't know, could he sense things? Or I don't know if he just sensed feelings, or if he was like able to only make you feel feelings. One of the two, but Warner reminded me of that at that part. Oh my god, and then we get to page 73, because we learned that the whole bunker that Castle had made underground was like blown up, and everybody basically died. And so I'm freaking out, and I'm like, okay, where's Kenji and Adam? Well, Adam at this point I was like, but where's James, where's Castle, where's like everybody? And then chapter 14 page 73 is when Kenji first comes up, and so I just wrote like Kenji with 2 exclamation points because he's alive, and so I just know that he's alive, and so we can continue on with the story with Kenji because Kenji is my favorite character, like no doubt. It goes Kenji, Juliet, because I ended up really liking Juliet, and then Warner. Adam is like at the bottom because it kind of sucks. My next tab is on page 103, and I don't have anything written on the little thing here, but I think I'm talking about the part where she's like, I am no longer afraid of fear, and I will not let it rule me. Fear will learn to fear me. Oh. So at this point we know that Juliet means business. She's about to kick some booty. That's what she's about to do. And then on page 121, I don't have anything marked either, but I have it on this paragraph, and I just really like how I really like the writing of this paragraph. It says, words, I think, are such unpredictable creatures. No gun, no sword, no army or king will ever be more powerful than a sentence. Swords may cut and kill, but words will stab and stay, burying themselves in our bones to become corpses we carry into the future, all the time digging and failing to rip their skeletons from our flesh. Like, wow, that was some pretty good writing. I really like that paragraph. And then we get to the parts on page 171 to be exact, where Adam and Juliet like officially break up, or not break up, but they break up because Adam is like that you and me, we're done, we're finished, I never want to see you again. And I honestly did not feel that bad for Adam, because up until this point he was just so controlling and so annoying towards Juliet. Like, please let her fly, let her be herself. He just wanted to like keep her protected as if she was this like delicate little flower, and she just like hated being corralled basically by Adam and how he was. So I was kind of like glad that they officially broke up, because I knew that Juliet didn't like want to hurt him, but at the same time she was like dying to kind of get away from him because he was so like I said, controlling. And so yeah, at that part I wasn't very sad, and actually surprised that it didn't happen sooner. Yeah, this is a part in the book where Juliet walks in on him and she's telling him that he's like so perfect and blah 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 blah, and then Warner's like so insecure at this part, and he's just like, oh, please don't talk to me that way, and he's like just very insecure, and it's a very angsty moment in the book because it continues on for like 3 more pages. Okay, and on page 245 is like one of my favorite parts in the book, because it's when Kenji and Juliet are talking, and this is where I like really love Juliet, because she like stands up for herself. And so she's kind of just telling Kenji about how she wishes that what does she say? That she wishes that she had discovered her own strength to break through when she was in the asylum, and how this isn't about Warner or Adam. This isn't about like the love interest in her life at the moment. This is about she says, this is about me and what I want. This is about me finally understanding where I want to be in 10 years. Because I'm going to be alive, Kenji. I will be alive in 10 years, and I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be strong, and I don't need anyone to tell me that anymore. I am enough, and I always will be. Yes, Juliet. Yes. And if you think about it, it's not really a love triangle, because she's with Adam, and then she realizes that she doesn't want to be with him anymore. She realizes that he was basically her crutch, and the only like person that she could have talked to or touched or felt any kind of human connection with, because he was literally the only person that she was in contact with for years. And then she met other people, and then she met Warner, and Warner actually like challenged her and believed in her, and knew that she was strong, and knew that she had the potential for so much. Oh my god. And then, okay, so we get to page 300 in the hardback. So a bunch of stuff happens, and Warner goes off, and he ends up going to see his mom. And so he's like, I'll be back in like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever he says. And he doesn't come back for a long time. So Juliet's like, you know what? I'm going to go in and see what's up, because he's been in there way too long, and blah, 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 blah. And so there's one chapter. It's like 4 pages long, like 2.5 pages long. And it's when Warner's mom finally dies, and Warner is there like in her final moments. And so there's this whole chapter about when Juliet walks in on him, and he's just like sitting on the floor and crying and just like super vulnerable at this point, and how he kind of just grabs onto Juliet when he walks in to the room. And at this point I was like, oh my god, that is so sad. Like, one of the most anticipated parts in the book, for me anyways, was when they were finally going to tell Warner that Adam was his brother. And there were several moments in this book where I'm like, okay, this is the part when they're just gonna blurt it out, like it's just gonna come out on accident. And then we get to the part where it's like the night, like literally before the whole war and the fight, and they're just sitting around and they're talking about Anderson, and then it comes up in conversation like, what is Anderson's first name, because nobody knew. And then so Adam's like, oh, it's Paris, like it's nothing special. And Warner like just like, what? Because he knows his dad's name, and that's Adam's dad too, so he knows his name. And so he starts freaking out, and he goes running towards Adam, and he's like, how do you know his name? Like, you're part of a secret service or something, you're like a traitor. I don't even know what he was saying. And then it finally comes out, Juliet, whoop, dropped my phone, and Juliet's just like, oh, that he's your brother. And then Warner just like relaxes, and I'm like, huh, this is not really the reaction that I was expecting from Warner, but it happened. And so I was expecting Warner, I don't really know what I was expecting Warner to do when he learned that Adam and James were his brothers. And then, I don't know if it was in this chapter or like later on in the book, where he like totally embraces the fact that he has these two brothers, and that, and he tries to like get along with Adam, and he like is, you can tell he's like super excited to get to know his little brother James. And I just thought it was so cute. I'm like, oh, he has brothers. Okay, then we get to page 396. And again, one of my favorite parts in the book, it's the part where Juliet finally kills Anderson. And so there was a whole part with this other kid, this other like person who was like trying to beat Juliet, that Anderson had, I don't know, like recruited or something, and he's like has these really big waves of something, and it like makes Juliet and Kenji less able to fight or whatever. And so Juliet finally takes him down, and it's like, well, get him out of the way. But yeah, it's chapter 73, and it's when Anderson and Juliet are fighting, and so they're like fighting really hardcore, and so he's like shooting at her, and then she's on the floor, and then she's like crawling towards him, and she reaches up and crushes Anderson's ankles. And so we all know how strong she is, so I imagine that hurt really bad. And so she gets up, and Anderson, she thinks that he's like pleading for his life, and that he's like begging for mercy, and she's like, I have absolutely nothing to say. I reach back and pull the gun out of my holster and shoot him in the forehead. And then there's the next thing, it says twice, once for Adam, once for Warner, the two sons. And I really liked that part in the book. And I know that sounds probably like totally morbid, like my favorite part in the book was when Juliet killed and murdered the bad guy, like, yeah. But it was my favorite part, and I think part of it has to do with the fact with how it was written. She literally doesn't even like put in her 2 cents to say anything about Warner and Adam. She just straight up goes and shoots him in the head. She doesn't even allow him to put in his last words or to do anything. Like, she knows what she went in there to do, and so she goes up to him and she shoots him in the head. She gets the job done, and I loved it. Okay, and the other reason why I really liked that part was because when I read it, it completely reminded me of this one scene in Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale. Let me know if any of you have seen it, but there's this one part, spoiler alert if any of you want to go watch that movie. Hugh Jackman plays Van Helsing, and then there's werewolves and vampires and whatever. I don't know, it's a really low budget movie, but I love it, and I've seen it I don't even know how many times. But there's a part in the end of the book where Kate Beckinsale, who plays like one of the vampire hunters, her and her whole family is trying to kill like all of the vampires, all the descendants of Dracula or something. So she has to kill the very last wife of Dracula because they've already killed the other two. And so she is like going up against this wall or this like ledge or something. So the other vampire wife is like flying down to her, and she lands on top of her and is just giving this whole speech about how like, I'm going to kill you and blah blah blah. Anyways, so she's giving this speech about how she's going to kill her, and she's like just talking and talking and talking, and so she grabs a knife and she just like gets her right in the chest, and she's like, if you're gonna kill somebody, do it, don't stand around talking about it. And it just totally reminded me of that part. Juliet didn't even like let him say anything. She didn't talk about how you did wrong to Adam and Warner, you deserve this. She just knew that he had to die, and so she just killed him. She just flat out killed him, and I loved it. And so we finally get to the end of the book, and everybody survives. Yay! Well, all the like main characters that we know of, because a lot of the people in Castle's like place died, but all of our favorite main characters survived. And so Anderson's dead, and Juliet and Warner are basically like the new rulers of this land or whatever. And so like Juliet is stumbling on top of this building, and she's looking out into everybody, and she's looking for Warner, and then Warner finally sees her, and he goes up to meet her, and they're like just standing there watching everything that they've done. And he's like, you know, the whole world will be coming for us now. And she's like, I lean back, look into his eyes, and she says, I can't wait to watch them try. And I was just like, ooh. And so now I understand the whole thing about people saying that they wish there was another book. And I read somewhere that Mafi is like, that she's thinking about it. So I'm like, oh my god, please do another like 6 books. He says like, oh, I can't wait to see them try. It totally seems like there's going to be another book where she not only fights for herself and for her people, but she fights for the land against like all of these other countries. And since it's becoming a TV show, it might, there's a really big fandom behind these books, and it might, the show is probably going to do really well. I hope it is. I have a really strong feeling that it will do well, because Shadowhunters is just going to be amazing, because all of the pictures and the like little 2-second snippet of videos that they've released, it's just perfection is what it looks like. And so I have really high hopes for ABC Family to turn this into a really good adaptation too. So maybe if the show does well, Mafi will have written a few more books, and after like 3 or 4 seasons there will be more. Okay, side note, can we just talk about Shadowhunters for a minute? Like yesterday they released a snippet, like literally it was a 1-second video of the first time that Alec and Magnus see each other, or that we think is when they first see each other, and I fangirled so hard. All of the videos that they have been showing, most of them have been of Alec. The fandom is just going so crazy over Matthew Daddario, and I just think that it's so funny, because I feel like Dominic Sherwood is also like extremely attractive, and nobody is talking about him. So like, anyways, back to Ignite Me. Like I said at the beginning, 5 out of 5, favorite book out of the trilogy. It was really, really good. I love the ending. I wish there was more, but even if there isn't, I'm happy with it. I'm really glad that I finally got to reading this trilogy, because I've been putting it off for so long. So now I have read it, and it is going on one of the bookshelves over there as one of my read books. It is being checked off. Okay, also, can we talk about the cover for this book? I absolutely love this cover. The covers for this trilogy are some of my favorite covers like ever, because they're so pretty. So this cover is of the Eye, as all the other ones are, except for the first edition of Shadow Me, because that one was just, I don't even know what that was. But again, we have the bird in the eye, and we have all of these bright colors around the eye, these greens and pinks and oranges, and to me it signifies like spring and the awakening of all of the flowers, and they're all coming to life, and they're all becoming what they're supposed to be. While in Shatter Me was very dark and gloomy, then Unravel Me was like was winter's very icy. It was like everything was dead, everything was still waiting for spring to come, so everything could come back to life again. So I felt that this was I felt that this was very symbolic of Juliet's character, because in this book she like really gets a hold of herself and her strength and her power and her awesomeness, and she just really comes to life in this book. And I felt like this is very representative and symbolic of that. I think that is all that I have to say about Ignite Me. I have gone through all of my little tabbies here, and yeah, those are all of my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of this book, if you've read it, anything about the show or whatever. There hasn't really been much or any at all discussion about the TV show, so I'm still waiting to hear about that. But yeah, let me know what you thought of my review, what you thought yourself about this book. Was it your favorite? Was it not? So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!